All right, everyone. Jimmy Swaggart has finally had the radish, bought the farm, croaked, died. Link in the description, archived, of course. I thought it was interesting. He died in Louisiana, right after I conducted a certain ritual aimed at Louisiana. And apparently his scandal, unbeknownst to me, by the way, I didn't even know this originally, was right after I was born in 1988. Very, very intriguing. Total coincidence, of course. Magic doesn't exist. I thought it was funny, though. Jimmy Swaggart was basically a charlatan, and he inspired, in part, some of the anti-televangelist music and so forth that was made in the late 80s, early 90s. And he had that famous "I have sinned" line there, actually, before his congregation basically dried up for a reason. Reminds me of Ted Haggard, Peter Popoff, some of these other individuals. Back in the 1980s, a lot of people are a little bit too young to realize this. If you're a Gen Zer, you've probably never heard of any of these people. Back in the 1980s, there was a slurry of televangelic activity in which people that were really more performers than anything else tried to con people into believing that they could channel Jesus or sell them pieces of the cross or holy water and stuff like that. And they made a lot of money doing it, by the way. One by one, virtually all of these people were caught up in scandals. Now, speaking as, you know, myself, I hope you guessed my name, by the way. Speaking as myself, I don't care if a person visits a prostitute. I really don't care. Makes absolutely no difference. If you want to hawk merchandise that is completely worthless, whatever. Everyone's got to make a living. That water is probably tap water, but if you want to market it as holy water, you're confusing the consumer. But other than that, no harm, no foul. It's still water now, isn't it? And it doesn't really matter what they anoint themselves with anyway, and so forth. Those nails probably didn't come from Jesus' cross, but they're still nails. They're still fundamentally useful. You can use them in your construction applications. You just paid 10 times more than they were worth, and things like that. So I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with, though, is hypocrisy. And Jimmy Swaggart was one hell of a hypocrite. So was Ted Haggard and all of these other people. If you're going to preach to other people with authority and pretend to have it and say, do not sin, do not do this, do not do that, and then you're doing it, that becomes a big problem. Haggard, I think, is probably the biggest example. He's, I believe, still alive. He was a big anti-drug advocate and a big extramarital affair advocate. He was caught and was anti-gay too. He was caught with an 18-year-old male prostitute in a motel, smoking amphetamines and snorting coke, actually. I believe leading to Phil Collins' famous song, Jesus, He Knows Me. It might have been Swaggart, it might have been Haggard. I can't remember which one it was. Peter Popoff was selling miracle holy water for 24.99, I believe it was, and still has a ministry actually, and a podcast. These people are charlatans. If you believe in heaven and hell, if you believe that there's a clear way to live and an unclear way to live, these are not the people that you should be following. Just saying. Take it from the devil's advocate, so to speak. I advocate for myself. Anyway, uh, yeah, Swaggart is dead. And it just happens to have happened just after my ritual in Louisiana, right as the moon was exactly right. Very, very interesting. I will say no more on that token. People think that I'm delusional whether I do or don't anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference at this point. Good riddance to Swagger. You were literally lying to your entire congregation. If anything, arguably, you were leading them to hell. They followed you because they believed in your power. They believed that by saying "ba ba ba jabba da ba ba da ba ja da da," and stupid shit like that, because he was a Pentecostal, of course, that they would somehow miraculously go to heaven. That's not the way that it works. Just saying. I know these things. I've studied them. I know them firsthand for a very, very long time. Again, I will say no more. That's not the way to heaven. The Pentecostal services are absolutely insane. Went to one once, and these crazy people, which is what I would classify them as, had rented out a storefront, a location, actually not far from my home. Their service consisted of rolling around on the ground and taking little flags and waving them around while the preacher spoke gibberish. That was basically the service. I'm sorry to say, and I don't mean any offense to anyone who does follow this path, because, I mean, while I think that you're wrong, at the very least you're a clanker or a clankette or something like that. I hate to tell you this, but I don't think that's in the Bible. I'm pretty sure that it's not there. It's also not in the Book of Common Prayer. It's not in any Christian literature that I've ever discovered that doesn't come from that particular branch of Christianity, so-called. And it's marginally, arguably Christian, I suppose, but not really when you really think about it. I don't think that Jesus told you to listen to a dude banter gibberish. Speaking in tongues, I'll explain that in a moment, while waving flags around and gyrating around on the floor. That doesn't appear in the Bible, as far as I know, in any translation that I've seen. To speak in tongues means to speak in multiple languages, actually, if properly translated. I notice that this is ignored by certain Christians. It means the ability to speak a language you would not otherwise be trained in or familiar with. It does not mean to speak gibberish. That's not what it means. But anyway, Swaggart, he did that and he made a lot of money doing so, and he spent it on hookers, apparently, for an extended period of time before getting caught in 1988 again, a couple of months after I was born. Actually, I think less than a month after I was born. How strange. Goodbye, old friend. Welcome to hell. That's about all. Peace out.